Cancel the transfer, we are not your ATM. Those words, reportedly delivered without ornament or apology, landed like a verdict at dawn, the kind of sentence that does not invite negotiation but announces an ending. This morning did not begin with reconciliation or a quiet family understanding. It began with accounts, clauses, and consequences. Breaking news whispered through palace corridors says a secret emergency summit ended not in compromise, but in catastrophe. Prince Harry, submerged in what sources describe as a $36 million ocean of debt, reached for the last lever he believed still existed. He called his brother, not as a rebel, not as a symbol, but as a debtor. He asked for a royal bailout. What he received instead was a refusal so clean it felt surgical. Prince William did not send money, he sent a message. An eviction notice disguised as advice. Welcome back, because today the royal feud has migrated from the tabloids to the balance sheet. This is no longer about feelings or family drama. This is about cash flow, liabilities, and a clock that does not stop ticking. The walls are closing in on Montecito. Tyler Perry has reportedly closed what insiders once half-joked was the bank of the Godfather. Netflix is allegedly demanding a $20 million refund for content that failed to materialize. And now Prince William, furious not in temperament but in calculation, has blocked the funds entirely and delivered a four-word ultimatum that may define the end of the American experiment. Sell the house. Do not look away, because what follows is not gossip. It is an autopsy. We are exposing the quiet duchy audit that made William shut the door. We are tracing the 10 o'clock in the morning insurance nightmare that triggered foreclosure panic. And we are explaining why the future king refuses to save his brother from the white elephant that has been bleeding him dry. The checkbook is closed. The truth is open. Stay with this. The moment the American dream curdled into a financial emergency can be traced to something deceptively small, an envelope. It was reportedly 10 o'clock in the morning when a courier arrived at the service entrance of the Riven Rock estate. No sirens, no cameras, just paper. Prince Harry likely opened it expecting relief. Perhaps a residual payment from an old deal, perhaps news of a greenlit project, perhaps a delay that would buy another month of breathing room. Instead, the paper inside carried a different message. A notice of non-renewal, homeowner's insurance cancelled. For an ordinary homeowner, this would be stressful but manageable. In the wildfire-scarred hills of California, where insurers like State Farm and Allstate are retreating entirely, it is something else. It is a financial death sentence, Harry called his advisors. The response confirmed a warning Prince William had reportedly issued years earlier, and which Harry had dismissed as pessimism. Buried deep inside the fine print of their $9.5 million mortgage sat a kill switch known as the default clause. Because the bank holds the majority stake in that property, it requires uninterrupted insurance coverage. The moment coverage lapses, the loan is technically in default, no missed payment required. No grace period. Without insurance, the lender has the legal authority to foreclose immediately to protect its collateral. In one morning, Harry found himself fighting three wars at once: a lender demanding proof of coverage, a godfather demanding repayment, and a real estate market that had turned its back on him. Panic followed fast. In the current market, securing a force-placed policy for a $14 million estate in an extreme fire zone requires massive upfront liquidity. Hundreds of thousands of dollars paid immediately. Money Harry simply does not have access to. Desperate, he made the call to London. He needed a bridge loan. He needed the Bank of Dad or the Bank of Wills to cover the premium long enough to stabilize the situation. But the voice on the other end of the line was not reaching for a checkbook. According to palace insiders, Prince William offered no sympathy and no sentimentality. Instead, he delivered a diagnosis. He reportedly asked why Harry had purchased a property that requires industrial-level maintenance in a climate zone he fundamentally does not understand. William saw what Harry could not or would not. The Riven Rock estate was never a palace. It was a white elephant, the ancient term for a gift so costly to maintain that it destroys its owner. And as William opened the duchy audit on the screen in front of him, he began to list, one by one, the reasons this house was never an asset but always a trap. Prince William did not reject the bailout out of anger, he rejected it out of arithmetic. As the Duke of Cornwall, William now manages a property portfolio worth billions. He understands with ruthless clarity the difference between prestige and solvency. According to sources close to the situation, William's audit of his brother's life revealed a terrifying truth. When Harry and Meghan purchased the Riven Rock estate for roughly $14.5 million, they believed they were buying security and status. What they actually bought was a liability masquerading as luxury, a white elephant in every technical sense. William reportedly pointed out the estate's structure with brutal precision: 9 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms. To someone raised with an understanding of efficiency, this was madness. William allegedly asked the question no one in Harry's circle dared to voice: why do 2 people need 16 toilets? In real estate management, 16 bathrooms does not mean glamour. It means 16 sets of plumbing, 16 potential leaks, 16 points of failure requiring constant monitoring and constant cash. A house of this size is not owned, it is fed. Then there was water, 7 acres of manicured landscaping in a drought-prone state. William, a committed environmentalist, was reportedly appalled. Keeping those lawns green is not just environmentally controversial, it is financially suicidal. Analysts estimate the water bill alone could rival an average worker's annual salary. Liquidity poured directly into the soil for optics, not value, but the audit did not stop at utilities. William highlighted the hidden costs that never appear in glossy brochures. Annual property taxes exceeding $200,000 every year, due regardless of whether Netflix renews a contract or Hollywood returns a call. This, William reportedly explained, is the tragedy of Harry's upbringing. He was raised in palaces where the lights were always on and the pipes were always fixed by an invisible hand. He never learned what it costs to keep a beast like Riven Rock alive. William's verdict was harsh because reality is harsh. Harry traded the constraints of monarchy for the shackles of a mortgage. The Crown might forgive protocol breaches, banks never forgive defaults. By blocking the bailout, William was not being cruel. He was refusing to subsidize a lifestyle that does not add up. Pouring $36 million into that house would be like pouring water into a bucket with no bottom. And the biggest leak in that bucket was not the plumbing. It was the people Harry trusted most, because just as the house began to crumble, the man holding up the roof stepped away. If the estate was a headache, Tyler Perry was a heart attack. William did not just warn Harry about pipes and taxes, he warned him about patrons. For years, the public narrative painted Tyler Perry as the benevolent godfather, a spiritual guide offering sanctuary. Initially, that narrative was accurate. When the Sussexes fled Canada, Perry sent his private jet and provided security that rivaled a head of state. But Prince William, seasoned in the transactional realities of elite friendships, reportedly saw something Harry missed. The boundary between friendship and finance had blurred. According to sources close to the situation, the godfather relationship evolved into a silent subsidy. Perry was not just offering advice, he was underwriting operations. But Tyler Perry built a billion-dollar empire from nothing. He understands the difference between generosity and a bad investment. The breaking point was not explosive, it was accounting. Insiders suggest Perry noticed a pattern William had also criticized. While Perry allegedly covered unglamorous essentials like round-the-clock security, Harry and Meghan spent their own cash on optics, private flights, couture wardrobes, public relations firms. They were living a billionaire lifestyle on a millionaire budget, with Perry filling the gap. His generosity became expectation. The loss of Perry's support is visible at the gates of Riven Rock. Once patrolled by elite teams costing millions, now guarded by competent but cheaper local firms, for William, this downgrade spoke volumes. When you cut corners on security after telling the world you are under constant threat, it suggests the bank account is bleeding faster than it can be replenished. Perry did not just pull support. He sent a message. The informal arrangement was over. A phone call described as brief and brutal sealed it. When Harry allegedly invoked family and the godfather role, the response was cold. The bank of the godfather closed. Gratitude is currency, and default had occurred. William used this collapse to deliver his sharpest critique. Even your Hollywood allies now see you as a liability. If a billionaire will not back you, why should the duchy? As Harry absorbed that loss, another pillar collapsed. Netflix. If Riven Rock was the drain, Netflix was supposed to be the river. But rivers dry. The $20 million demand now haunting Montecito is rooted in a fundamental misunderstanding. Harry and Meghan reportedly believed the headline $100 million deal was a reward for existence. In Hollywood, there are no gifts, there are advances. Recoupable advances tied to deliverables. Netflix paid expecting content, series, scripts, productions. What arrived was almost nothing. Aside from one docuseries retelling their royal exit, the pipeline was empty. High-profile projects were quietly axed. This triggered the clawback clause, breach of deliverables, money out. Nothing in, refund demanded. For a couple whose liquidity is being swallowed by a mansion, this is not a setback, it is an existential threat. Harry likely planned to use future Netflix payments to cover the mortgage and the massive annual tax bill. Instead, he faces the possibility of litigation. What enraged William was not just the debt but the humiliation. When a top executive publicly labeled them grifters, it was not gossip, it was a professional verdict. For the future king, hearing the monarch's brother reduced to that label was intolerable. The narrative hardened, no longer brave escapees, now entitled spenders living on other people's money. Harry reportedly pleaded with William, arguing a lawsuit would stain the family. He asked for a quiet settlement. William refused. The duchy is for land and people, not failed cartoons and Hollywood penalties. Netflix answers to shareholders, not royalty. Cash flow froze. The white elephant became foreclosure risk. Two fronts now, bank and streamer. Harry thought tabloids were the enemy. He was wrong. His enemy was the spreadsheet. William's position became immovable. No bailout, no loans. And then came the final instruction, the solution Harry had been avoiding since he left London. Sell the house. No $36 million rescue, no secret duchy loan. Stop pouring water into the bucket. Get rid of the bucket. Downsizing returned as inevitability, but they could not sell publicly. A standard listing would confirm collapse, so they moved in silence. Pocket listing, off-market, no signs, no open houses. In real estate, this is desperation. Liquidate before lawsuits land and foreclosure notices appear. The cruelest part is not selling. It is who they must sell to, not friends. In Montecito, they have become untouchable and not in power. As news spread, Hollywood froze. Agencies whispered one word, radioactive. Success is forgiven. Failure is not. Phones stopped ringing. Clubs avoided eye contact. No one wants to be asked for a bridge loan. Debt is contagious. Invitations dried up not from hatred but fear. So the mansion is quietly shopped to foreign investors, faceless buyers with liquid cash and no interest in Hollywood gossip. Trucks are coming not to deliver furniture but to remove it. The pocket listing is the last attempt to exit with dignity. Prince William denied the bailout, ordered the sale, and left his brother with a lesson that cannot be outrun. You can leave the royal family, you cannot leave the laws of economics. The Bank of Wills is closed. As Harry stands on that balcony, looking at the view he is about to lose, the question is no longer about pride. It is about survival. Where do you go when the keys are handed over? As the sun sets over the Pacific, the image lingers. A prince on a $14 million balcony, a moving truck idling below. William's refusal teaches a brutal truth about independence. We confuse lifestyle with life. Freedom is not jets and mansions. Freedom is solvency. Escaping a monarchy only to kneel before a mortgage and a billionaire's patience is not liberation. It is a different cage. This is tragedy in modern form. Icarus, not with wax wings but with credit. They wanted to prove they did not need the crown. In the end, they proved why it existed. The crown provided a net. The real world provides a notice. William did not burn the bridge out of malice. He burned it to stop them from running back into a burning building. Sometimes the only way to save someone is to let them fall. Now the verdict is yours. Team William or Team Harry, tough love or abandonment, accountability or loyalty. The experiment is over.